G'day mates, Levin here, and welcome to the final race of the 1998 season, the Japanese Grand Prix from Suzuka, and the finale to a great championship battle between Kent Levin and Mika Häkkinen. Levin has done a really good job in overhauling Mika Häkkinen's lead over the past few races, and despite failing to finish in the Italian Grand Prix and Häkkinen pulling out his lead, a win last race in Luxembourg has moved Levin within 4 points of Häkkinen. If Levin was to win this race, Häkkinen would need to be second or lower so that Levin can win the championship. Although this will mean in a draw, Levin will still be ahead on race wins, 11-7 in comparison to Häkkinen's 5. But ideally, I really want Häkkinen to finish third or lower, so I'll be the sole world champion. Now, in the real life, it wasn't also a championship battle. Mika Häkkinen was in the lead on 90 points, whilst Michael Schumacher in the Ferrari was on 84 points. Like here, 4 points behind. So, like our case, Schumacher needed to win, and Häkkinen to be third or lower to get Schumacher the world champion. However, it wasn't as a championship battle as everyone thought. First, the race had to be aborted because of Jarno Trulli's Prost stalling. And before the second attempt at the start of the race, Schumacher's Ferrari also stalled. So he had to put his car to the back of the grid. So he had a lot of work to do. And he was going up the field quite fine until an accident, debris, because of an accident between backmarkers Esteban Tuero and Ricardo Rossi, caused Schumacher's tyre to puncture and ran him out of the race. When that happened, Häkkinen just raced casually home to win his first ever Drivers' Championship. Hoping today is much more dramatic and much more intense than that. So now looking at our Drivers' Championship, as we can see here, Mika Häkkinen is in the lead on 89 points, 4 points ahead of Kent Levin, and undoubtedly the favourite coming into this race. Häkkinen just needs to beat me. Although I'm starting on pole, so I don't know, it could be a hard one. The following on behind them, we got Michael Schumacher on 63 points, just 1 point ahead of David Coulthard. Both drivers have been keeping up good performances throughout the whole season, and as such, having a good battle for that third place. We'll see what happens at the end of this race to see how that might change. And then following behind them, we got Eddie Irvine and then Untitled Chapter on 42 and 25 points respectively. And rounding out the points scorer positions, we have got Jean Alesi on 15 points, Damon Hill on 4 points, and Giancarlo Fisichella, Ralf Schumacher, and Jarno Trulli still haven't moved from their positions, none of them scoring since Belgium at the absolute earliest. And in the Constructors' Championship, McLaren Mercedes is on 151 points, just 46 points ahead of Ferrari. Benetton Playlife on 88 points, so they're pretty much secured down in third place in Constructors' Championship, but with Levin at the helm, things might go better for them next year. And then we've got Williams Mechachrome on 25 points, Sauber Petronas on 15, Jordan on 5, and Prost Peugeot on 1. And looking at the championship qualifying results, now Kent Levin is in the lead again for a record 8th time in a row. I think he's drawing for a record for consecutive pole position. I have to look to my records for that, but I wouldn't be too surprised if that was the case. And falling behind on the second grid, Mika Häkkinen. So in there is going to ensure this is going to be a very, very closely contested race. I can't wait for it. On the second row, we have David Coulthard and Michael Schumacher, both cars ready to pounce on both Levin and Häkkinen if for some reason they don't perform, and going to conclude their little battle for third place as well. The following behind them, we've got Eddie Irvine and Jean Alesi, both keeping up their consistent performances all year, or everyone's been consistent all year. And then rounding out the top 10, we've got Heinz-Howard Frentzen and Damon Hill in the Williams and Jordan respectively. And then Giancarlo Fisichella in the number 1 Benetton, should I say. And then Johnny Herbert in the second Sauber. Looking at throughout the rest of the grid, Ralf Schumacher is in 11th place, 0.23 seconds behind Levin, although not too far behind Johnny Herbert. So I could have possibly seen Schumacher pass Herbert to start in the top 10. Jacques Villeneuve is still in 13th place. Not a very good way to finish his association with Williams. And then we got Rubens Barrichello in 14th place, 2.6 seconds behind. And looking at the rest, we've got Pedro Diniz, Esteban Tuero, and the rest of them. So, with that underway, with that behind us, let's get to the Japanese Grand Prix and hope it is an epic conclusion to this season. Right, on the grid now for the final race of the 1998 season. It's Levin versus Häkkinen. Who's going to win this? As we get underway, Levin makes an okay start, but Mika Häkkinen in the much more powerful McLaren surges ahead as we come into the first corner. But Levin keeps up really, really well going through the first corner. Now we're coming to the S-curves, which is a very easy third gear throughout all of them. You just need to accelerate, decelerate, etc., etc. as you complete this. And then go into the uphill left-handed Dunlop curve. It's an opening radius corner, so it can be a bit tricky at times. But if you can get it just right, like I did there, a bit too far inside, you should be able to go through fine. Now we're coming through Degner curve. It's a double apex corner. Or as I get a little bit loose as coming out there, and as such, I'm off onto the grass. How to get back on the road? Yes, I got traction, and by the sound of things, I managed to keep David Coulthard's McLaren right behind me. Coming to the hairpin now, I am a fair distance behind Mika Häkkinen, although I can see him go past the corner as he approaches the spoon curve. There is still room for me to catch up. It's only the first lap, so don't count your chickens just yet. Although looking at the pace of the McLaren, I wouldn't be too surprised if Häkkinen keeps this hold until the end of the race. But he needs to play a cool calm race and prevent me from getting past. As we come across the back straight now, if you remember last year, I was able to come out very, very quickly out of spoon and catch up to a lot of people on that corner. So hopefully it will work dividends for me this race. As we come through the treacherous 130R, coming to the final chicane, the Casio Triangle. You have to be careful because it goes over a crest, down about 50 or so meters, then it's the chicane. These days, it's brought up to the top of the hill, so you know where you go. As we come across the start-finish line now to complete a first lap, the positions are as follows. Häkkinen, Levin, Michael Schumacher, David Coulthard, Alesi, and Frentzen. Crossing the finish line, we are 3.5 seconds behind Mika Häkkinen, but as we can see now, that gap has closed considerably. I managed to do the first curve and the S-curves at a very, very high pace. So now I'm right at the back door of Mika Häkkinen. Now I've got to try not to do any more mistakes if I want to try and overtake, because I know I've got the pace. My skill is in the corners is keeping up with Häkkinen in comparison to his Mercedes engine, as we can see here. Oh, I made a mess of Degner again. I crashed to the back of Mika Häkkinen, and now he's pulled up about a 2-second lead. This is horrible. I need to keep my act together and go through Degner much more cleanly. That's 2 laps in a row. I can tell that my stress levels in this situation is going to be quite high because I so desperately want to pass Häkkinen and maybe go for the win. And I know I can do it. I'm much, much faster than him in the corners. But if I keep making a mess of corners, such as Degner, there's no way I'm going to pass. And Häkkinen's going to go for the win. Well, after 2 aborted attempts, I got to play very cool about this. And as Mika Häkkinen goes wide through 130R, that's not very good. I'm not sure. As I make a move, as I come to the Casio Triangle, it's 2 abreast through. There's contact between the 2. And Häkkinen, that is a very, very reckless move on behalf of Kent Levin. He should not be doing stuff like that. If he keeps doing things like that, he's going to either see himself black flagged out of the race or having an accident with Häkkinen. Because if he crashes with Häkkinen and both of them are out, Häkkinen is still going to become champion. As I said on the headline once, Kent Levin is obligated to win this race. And he has the capacity to win this race, but he needs to get his act together. Coming across the third and now the fourth of the S-curves, still reasonable distance. Now we go around Dunlop now. A bit too thin going through it, but we're back online, which is not too bad. Now we're coming to Degner. I need to get this clean through here if I want to catch up to Häkkinen as we go through hairpin and spoon. And that has paid dividends. I'm only now less than half a second behind Häkkinen. So coming to the hairpin now. Good. Very close and not making any rash move. That is very good driving from Kent Levin here. As we come across to the approach through Spoon, Mika Häkkinen's Mercedes engine has made his McLaren pull away very quickly by coming into Spoon. I brake at the last minute and go through a much faster rate than Mika Häkkinen. Mika Häkkinen's gone very slow through Spoon, so I'm now only about half a second behind. As we come to the back straight now, I'm catching up to the back. I'm into a slipstream as I pull out. No, there's not enough power, so I need to go back into a slipstream again. Should I have overtaken, coming to 130 out the Castro triangle? No, I'm off. As we come into the 130 out, Mika Häkkinen goes wide, and I go through. Kent Levin is in the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix. This could decide the World Championship right here as we go through the Casio Triangle. Very clean path. And Kent Levin now leads the 1998 Japanese Grand Prix. After capitalizing on Mika Häkkinen's mistake going 130R, he did the same mistake as he did lap 2, going way too fast and way too wide through there. Fortunately not going off the dirt. But Levin has capitalized on this and gone through to take the lead with only just 2 laps left to go. I'm wondering if McLaren and Mika Häkkinen's kicking himself right now that such a big mistake could happen. But as I can hear now, Mika Häkkinen is still right behind Levin, so he's not going to let Levin run away with a victory that easily. But Levin is now in a defending stance. He needs to defend against Mika Häkkinen and cut down on as many mistakes as he can if he wants to win this race. Don't forget, if he wins this race, he will become world champion based on race wins, not points. As we go a bit wide coming out of Dagna on the grass, slowing down quite a bit, but we still got a reasonable margin as we come to the hairpin now. Bit too quick, but amazingly staying online. These Bridgestone tires are extraordinarily grippy. That's why all teams are going to Bridgestone next year after Goodyear have pulled out from the sport. Now we go through the Spoon curve now. I'm going a little bit wide, but no matter, I go through it just fine as I put the pedal to the metal and pull away from Häkkinen as we come down the back straight. 310 kilometers an hour. And I'm wringing the guts out of this thing. Red line all the way. Very clean through there. And what is about Häkkinen? I can't hear his car inside. So I'm thinking that he's done a similar mistake as he did before. If he keeps making mistakes like that, there's no chance of him to winning the World Championship. So come across the finish line now to complete the penultimate lap. And I post the fastest lap with a 1:38.481. An amazing work from Levin. Shows that his skill in maneuvering the car is much better than just the outright speed produced by the car. Levin, Häkkinen, Mark Schumacher, David Coulthard, Jean Lacey, and Damon Hill. So Hill managed to get past Frenton on an earlier lap, and now is going a point scoring position. I wonder how far I am from Häkkinen. We should see up ahead as we approach. After the Degner curve is the end of the first sector. So we should have a fair idea of the gap between us. And let's just hope it's a decent one as I make a mess of Degner. Degner is obviously a corner that I'm definitely not going well. That's 2 laps in a row that I've gone wide coming out of the exit, but that one was shambolical. And that's caused Mika Häkkinen to catch up. I can just hear the McLaren Mercedes engine. He's right behind me as we come out of hairpin. So Levin is in trouble now. Häkkinen should be in the slipstream and might be able to make an attack as we come through Spoon. He's online very well. Hitting the brakes, going down the 4th. Very easy. Now tighter. He goes down the 3rd. And he accelerates now, maybe a bit later than what he should. But he has pulled distance back on Mika Häkkinen. So he's recovered well from the shambles he made at the Degner curve. And again, he's wringing the guts out of the engine. I would not like to think what state of the engine is after the end of this race, because there is 2 places where Levin is really redlining this thing. So if he doesn't hold back, he's going to end up blowing the engine, which I don't want. As we come across the finish line to start our final lap of the Japanese Grand Prix, Levin is in the lead, followed by Mika Häkkinen. Then Michael Schumacher, Coulthard, Alesi, Hill. Levin just has 1 lap to go to post a really good lap time to become the first Australian Formula 1 world champion since Alan Jones in 1980, so 18 years. And at this point, I'd like to give to you my final reviews on Formula 1 98. I'm actually surprised that I went as well as I did, because when I jumped onto this game from Formula 1 97, it was horrible. I did not understand the controls at all. The bits I normally slow down and go at a decent speed, I just understeer straight off. It is very hard, but if you persevere through that and start playing the game, you start to have an idea of how slow you need to, because it's a bit deceptive like that. How fast you need to go through each corner, slower than normal, and know how to be on the track if you get that sorted out. Once you can do that, it is somewhat playable, but definitely not one I would recommend. Yeah, Psygnosis did a really bad job in trying to find a new developer to do this game in replace of Bizarre Creations. But fortunately, 1999, Formula 1 99 will be a much, much better game. So their reputation is restored. They will need to be, because they would own the exclusive Formula 1 PS2 license in a couple of years' time. As we come around the Casio Triangle for the final time, no mistakes there. Kent Levin has done it. He has won the 1998 Japanese Grand Prix and is the world champion. The first time ever there's a drawn world champion. Take a bow, Kent Levin. To be honest, I did not expect this whatsoever. I mean, when I jumped onto Benetton last year, I was expecting maybe 1 or 2 years developing with the team, because they're a really good team to develop from, and then maybe jump to your likes of Williams or McLaren in a couple of years. But no, in my second year of Formula 1, I managed to push a relatively inferior Benetton with an inferior Play Life engine and win the World Championship. I cannot believe this myself. Well done, you managed to complete the championship and attain first position in the Drivers' League. A new track is now available. That track in question, I believe, is a Roman Colosseum track. It looks quite good, actually, but you don't really need to go through this mode to do it. You can just do it through cheats. I forget what the cheat is. You would need to look on the internet for that one. Also, in saying that, though, there is a bonus video to congratulate you from winning the championship, so I'll post that immediately after I upload this video. So anyway, looking now at the standings for this race, Kent Levin wins the race by a little over half a second over Mika Häkkinen, cementing himself as the first Australian World Champion in 18 years, and the first time that we've had a drawn World Championship, and that the World Champion was decided on race wins. I had 7 wins compared to Mika Häkkinen's 5. Michael Schumacher did a good job in holding down to third place, so did David Coulthard, and following behind them quite easily is Jean Alesi and Damon Hill in the Jordan. So now, looking at the final Drivers' Championship table, as I said, Levin and Häkkinen on 95 apiece, but with more race wins, I take out the Drivers' Championship. Mika Häkkinen, sadly, just misses out, but he did a really good battle. I have utmost respect for Häkkinen. Michael Schumacher is on 67 points, roughly 28 points behind Levin and Häkkinen, so he did a really good job in being a worthwhile competitor as the season went on, but due to the performance of the McLarens, he wasn't able to defend his world title. David Coulthard also unfortunately didn't catch up to Michael Schumacher and assume according to this second spot, but his efforts helped McLaren win the World Constructors' Championship, which Häkkinen can take as a compensation or an alternative to not winning the Drivers' Championship. Eddie Irvine did a good job in 4th place on 42 points, securing Ferrari as 2nd in the Constructors' Championship. And then following behind them, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, good job in keeping Williams in the points, although disappointed that Jacques Villeneuve did not score any points whatsoever. And then rounding out the point score positions, we got Jean Alesi, good job considering he's with Sauber this year. Damon Hill, 5 points, respectable considering he didn't win any points last year. And then Giancarlo Fisichella, the number 2 Benetton driver. His lack of points made sure that Benetton did not go too high in the Constructor Championship, but they still get the number 1 and 2 for next season. And then rounding out the point scoring positions are the solitary points of Jarno Trulli in the Prost and Ralf Schumacher in the Jordan. And now in the Constructors Championship, McLaren Mercedes, 160 points, 51 points ahead of Ferrari, which is on 109. And then Benetton Play Life, a total of 11 points behind Ferrari. So they actually weren't too far back if Fisichella scored a few more points over the course of the season, then Benetton might have been able to get second place. Then we got Williams Mechachrome with a respectable 25 points, although it is a big downfall from what it was in 97. And then rounding out the point score positions, we got Sauber Petronas on a respectable 17 points after failing to score at all in 97. And then Jordan Honda on 6 and Prost Peugeot on 1. And because of how they started in the season, the final positions go to Minardi Ford, then Arrows, then Tyrrell, then Stewart Ford. So there we have it for 1998. It took me longer than normal to complete it, but we finally got there, and I don't need to worry about this game ever again. And as a result, I've become world champion. And keep in mind, this is on the hard setting, so it wasn't... I made it easy for myself. This was properly difficult in parts, but I managed to rise above it. And it's given me good motivation as I go into F1 Career Challenge, which is the main focus of my channel. So I'm going to take about a week or two off to sort out how I'm going to go about F1 Career Challenge. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and the whole 1998 season, and I'll see you guys in Australia in 1999.